This is New Zealand, a paradise for some, yet many people swear it's boring. So which is it? I'm Dennis, a true fan of this country, and I'm putting that claim to the test. Weekdays, weekends, and what people really do for fun here. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll see New Zealand in a way you've probably never imagined before. New Zealand is a fantastic place for those interested in water activities. On one side, we are washed by the Tasman Sea, and on the other, the Pacific Ocean itself. We also have many kilometer-long rivers, both calm and with rapids, and of course, beautiful lakes, some of the most stunning and cleanest in the world. Naturally, with such an abundance of resources, people are happy to spend their time on the water. The most popular type of water entertainment is surfing. For many people in New Zealand, it has practically become a religion. People are willing to get up at 5 in the morning to catch some waves before work and then go again right after. Even children surf during their sport classes at school. Surf clubs, boards, forecast apps, national and international competitions. Overall, this activity is open and affordable for many people, from amateurs to pro athletes, many of whom actually emerged right here in New Zealand. There's also bodyboarding. That's for those who want something simpler, but still fun. There are usually enough waves on our shores for both adults and children. I also know many fans of windsurfing and kitesurfing. Winds suitable for these sports come both to the sea and to the lakes, and people hurry to take advantage of these conditions. For me, kitesurfing, for example, also looks absolutely mesmerizing. I dream of trying it myself when I have time, and there's actually a great spot for it just 5 minutes from my house, right on a lake with picturesque mountains around. But what I have managed to try is SUP, also known as paddleboarding. It's a very meditative activity, especially when you're surrounded by incredibly beautiful nature. Riding electric boards and foils is also gaining popularity. It looks absolutely amazing, and it makes you want to try these activities ASAP. The only thing is, the price of the board is pretty steep. On average, about 10,000 New Zealand dollars. I also got a chance to try kayaking and canoeing. There are sea, lake, and river options. So there are all sorts of possibilities. Each one has its own unique quirks. I really enjoyed it, and I'll definitely try it again. And you don't even have to own one yourself. Sometimes it's easier to just rent one in a new, interesting place you want to explore. I went canoeing down a river with rapids. By the way, we'll soon publish a full video from that trip as well. It really felt like a lost world, but absolutely safe from any, well, dangerous creatures. I still need to try proper rafting. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but it looks really exciting, like something I'd definitely enjoy. According to official data, there are over 1 million recreational watercraft in New Zealand. And that's not even counting canoes and kayaks. More than a third of New Zealanders spend their leisure time this way at least once a year. Yachts, motorboats, boats, and jet skis are very popular, even though they're not exactly a cheap hobby. However, many people simply prefer to travel with friends or rent a boat. Fishing of all kinds is also popular in New Zealand. There are quite a lot of fish here, but people still take care of nature. So there are strict regulations, fishing licenses, and so on. The same applies to spearfishing. And I have quite a few friends who are passionate about both types of fishing. There is also diving in New Zealand. Of course, it's not as magnificent as in Australia at the Barrier Reef or somewhere in the Red Sea. But there are clubs here, and they regularly go out, or rather set out to sea, to new and interesting places with diverse underwater life. By the way, that's one of my dreams too. Apparently when I retire, hopefully that's not too far off. And of course, just swimming. The ocean here isn't as warm as in Thailand, for example, but you just need to be prepared for that. On the North Island, the water warms up to about 22 degrees on average in the summer. But those who want to swim usually aren't deterred, and people swim a lot. As for me, I've come to love swimming in the lake. One day, I'll also make a video about the best place in the world that I've discovered so far. And for me, fresh water at 16 or 17 degrees turned out to be more pleasant than warm, salty water. If it weren't for New Zealand, I might never have learned about or considered aerial hobbies. Of course, I knew about aviation and parachuting sports, but that always seemed very distant and unattainable. But here, it turns out these are pretty common pastimes for many people. Skydiving is very popular, and it's mostly regular people who do it. IT specialists, engineers, economists, and so on. Of course, it's those who can afford it, since it's not exactly a cheap hobby, but they do fall with abandon and grace, and right up to the level of international competitions. Airplanes and helicopters are also expensive, but as it turns out, they're not just for the wealthy. Again, many of my acquaintances have gotten into this kind of hobby. They fly, get their licenses, and travel around the country this way. It's also a very popular pastime, and there's good infrastructure for it. We also have hot air balloons, and while ballooning isn't as widespread, there are even hot air balloon festivals that attract thousands of spectators from all over the country and even from abroad. The most popular one takes place in Hamilton on the North Island. In addition, let's not forget about paragliding, hang gliding, and simply flying gliders. All this is available in almost every city in New Zealand. And by the way, these are not that expensive. It's affordable for almost anyone with a regular job. When talking about land-based activities in New Zealand, hiking, also known as trekking or walking tours, should be mentioned first and foremost. According to numerous different rankings, New Zealand consistently ranks among the top countries in the world for this kind of leisure. With mountains, volcanoes, lakes, rivers, the sea and ocean, forests and waterfalls, is complemented by incredible care and thoughtful planning. People take care of both the environment and the comfort of others. Cleanliness, order, convenience, safety, and even the absence of any dangerous or simply annoying creatures along the way make traveling around the country much smoother. Hiking in New Zealand is truly one of the best experiences our country has to offer. To keep our hobby list from going on forever, I'll be grouping similar activities together. For example, sports, fitness, running, and so on. New Zealand is a very sporty country, from the smallest towns to the largest cities. People have every opportunity to engage in sports here. There are top quality fields for various team sports: football, rugby, basketball, netball, ice and field hockey, tennis courts, squash, you name it. You can find anything. In addition, there are gyms and CrossFit centers everywhere, indoor and outdoor climbing walls, and clubs for any level of difficulty, both indoors and outdoors. And of course, just running. People are always out running, and there are tracks, stadiums, and beautiful scenery for it too. Golf deserves a special mention. Some courses in New Zealand are ranked among the most beautiful golf locations in the world. Again, it's a popular pastime, and you can find places to play almost everywhere. Each one is more beautiful than the last. Among the more expensive activities, auto and motorsports stand out. At the amateur and semi-professional level, they are incredibly well developed. There are many different classes of competitions, plenty of stadiums and tracks, their own teams, sponsors, and fan base. Such events usually attract lots of locals to the stadiums as a form of family entertainment. Staying on the topic of vehicles, the off-road scene deserves a separate mention. Riding jeeps and ATVs across fields, forests, and beaches is also a popular pastime among fans of loud vehicles. People gather based on their interests, go on tours, and have a great time together. A more accessible and popular trend among young people is skateboards, longboards, one-wheels, and other small-wheeled companions. Again, even in the most run-down village, there will most likely be a skate park where teenagers spend a lot of time with their friends. Moreover, this way of getting around also serves simply as a means of transportation. School children and students often use this method to get to school or university along smooth roads and sidewalks. It's important not to forget about the bicycle. This is an extremely popular form of both leisure and transportation. Fortunately, the infrastructure allows for it, and the climate is favorable. And as you can imagine, people don't just ride on smooth roads, but also through forests, mountains, and hills, because mountain biking in New Zealand is simply amazing. In addition, there are plenty of triathlon, marathon, and Ironman enthusiasts. Continuing with the topic of active sports, let's mention snowboarding and alpine skiing. New Zealand offers several ski resorts that are popular not only among locals, but also among international tourists from all over the world. There are even great slopes on the North Island, even though it's warmer there. But of course, the best ones are here on the South Island. New Zealand also has licensed hunting for various wild animals. This topic isn't close to my heart, but it does exist. And it wouldn't be right not to mention it. But what I do enjoy talking about is horses. Equestrian sports are also a very popular hobby here. There are also sporting competitions, show jumping, horse races, and world-class jockeys. There are also clubs for socializing and amateur horse riding. And there are plenty of places to go horseback riding, given the beautiful natural surroundings and the well-developed infrastructure for equestrian sports and leisure. Another thing that New Zealand land provides in abundance is excellent wine and beer. Vineyard tours, wine tastings, craft beer, and picturesque breweries are also plentiful in many regions of the country. Often you can stay overnight at such places, ride bicycles or horses, or simply go for a walk. These places are peaceful and calming. Of course, above all, New Zealand is about nature. It is nature that makes traveling around the country so pleasant and interesting. Experienced travelers say that New Zealand is like a collection of greatest hits, where the beauty of the whole world is gathered in one place and presented with the characteristic local care. You can explore the animal and plant life. Whales, dolphins, fur seals, birds, most of which, by the way, are endemics, meaning they are found only here. You can stay on a farm with stunning views, enjoy evergreen gardens and picturesque flowers, and pick fruits and berries. You can spend endless hours gazing at the crystal clear sky through a telescope. You can soak in healing natural hot springs while sipping chilled wine from a frosted glass. Or you can simply have picnics and barbecues outdoors with family and friends. Everything for that is thoughtfully arranged as well. In short, both big and small journeys in New Zealand's nature are pure and endless pleasure, and personally, I never get tired of it. New Zealand isn't limited to just nature. There's also a cultural life here, even if it is a bit distinctive. Every city in the country has its own certain charm, a small but still significant history, its own heritage, and its own entertainment. Cafes, bars, and restaurants may sound ordinary, but they're definitely worth mentioning. Every city has very cozy, interesting, and delicious spots where you can easily spend an hour or two. Most cities here are also very green. They have their own parks, sometimes bodies of water, zoos, and other integrated natural elements. There's always an opportunity to get a breath of fresh air and hide in the shade of the trees. But according to the experienced youth, things are much worse here with nightclubs. They say the selection is very small and rather poor. Well, I can't argue with that. There's really nothing to say in response, but every year there are awesome music, wine, and food festivals. Tens of thousands of people gather at these events. In addition, world-famous stars often come here to perform concerts. Cinemas are an everyday ordinary thing for everyone here. But theatre is represented here rather modestly. If you absolutely need to attend dozens of plays every year, you'll be disappointed here. There is opera, theatre, and comedy clubs, but there isn't as much variety as you might like. Pretty much the same can be said about museums and galleries. They exist almost everywhere, but the exhibits are also very limited. With the exception of a couple of truly great and large museums, for the most part, these are small collections of local culture and art. In the urban environment, people come together based on shared interests. Students traditionally make a lot of noise, older people gather at meetups, and there are separate hangouts for everyone, including even a startup scene for entrepreneurs and investors. By the way, dance clubs and drawing clubs are quite popular. To be honest, I don't really know what else there is to do in the cities, since I'm mostly drawn to the rural lifestyle and being close to nature. All in all, I truly don't understand how anyone could get bored in New Zealand, a country so rich in different kinds of entertainment. After all, besides work, which you also have to do, you need to spend time with your family and friends. Sometimes you just want to read, watch movies, I don't know, just meditate or stare into a corner doing nothing. But here, these entertainments and hobbies are so accessible, so close at hand. And you might say that everything I've listed can be done anywhere. Well, most of it, probably yes. But it's not all set up as comfortably in terms of conditions. The infrastructure isn't the same, and everything isn't created with such proximity and compactness. And as practice shows, people who move to New Zealand start to lead a more active lifestyle. They begin to think more about harmony and entertain themselves in healthier ways. And in general, you know, their eyes just look different. Their eyes shine with a happier kind of light. So come to New Zealand and live a good, awesome life. See you soon.